Hi everybody. So today and lately I've been really stressed and I was wondering about my online friend Sis of Sis, and I was wondering whether he was kicked out of his home and whether he's homeless. And it's like I don't really care about people in general. I only care about myself and my son. But at the same time, I am worried and it's unpleasant to know that these things happening. Even if I know somebody online, just online, and I never met them, I still feel uneasy and worry about them. So I'd like to say this to him. I believe that you should not confront anybody, your landlord, anyone at all. We all are here like prisoners on this planet, and we have to go to work. We have to do all these things that are not always pleasant to us. I view it as something bad I did, and I have to work on my karma to clear my karma some way. And as for our relatives, I believe that, for example, I have bad relationship with my mother, and sometimes it's horrible, and we can have very different opinions on life, but then they can shift also. This is what you can realize. Like, you can be opposite in your views and values in life. At the same time, you can have these fights, you can have this very different on energy level. But at the same time, I still love my mother. So these things can exist in parallel to me. Like, I can be furious, we can have nothing in common in our views with my mother, we can have fights, but in parallel, I still love her. And these things, they can exist at the same time, simultaneously. That's what you can understand about your dearest and nearest people. Another thing that I'd like to mention was that I came from complete denial of Bible over the last year and the previous year, the year before that, to just respectfully trying to stay in between. I now think that every scripture in this world is inspired by revelation from the highest realm, and every scripture, every religion should be studied and honored, and a person should adopt a neutral view as an observer, because all the things, again, they can exist at the same time in parallel, because you don't have to choose just one thing. You should absorb all with your essence, with your ears, with your eyes. And I don't have to fight all of this, because previous years I used to be very angry. And right now, to me, this concept of Jesus Christ and the sacrifice, I just don't, this is not what I would prefer in my own universe. This is just not close to my heart. I believe that things shouldn't be this way, with suffering and when innocent suffers and all of that. So at the same time, I understand how this can be the case and how this can be correct, because this is usually the case in our world, and how through suffering you get to a higher level of understanding what this life is about and how you raise yourself. Then I'm also very concerned about way things are as I see them in the United States. And I've been listening to that shaman, and she said that American society as a whole is sick like a human organism, like a single person. And it looks like a tumor, a cancer on them. And you see all these young people, some of them are all of these genders, in all of this gender diversity and sexual orientation diversity, and others are struggling to pay debts, and others are struggling with their psychiatric health, and others suffer from addiction problem. So this is horrible, because as the shaman said, the youth, young people are the future, and if things are so bad, and with moral degradation and everything else, and then there is no future. Why there is no investment into the country's children and young generation as a whole? So I believe all these things that happen with the drugs will not be solved, with homeless encampments and all of that, will not be solved just by police and giving them all this authority or stricter laws to all this fentanyl and all of that. I believe that people just need to have this mobility in society, and I think that there should be free competition between people, and that higher education, like college education, should really be free. I believe that medicine should be free, and I believe that college education also should be free. But there is another problem to college education, is that a lot of sciences have been hijacked, and because of this, there is no value to, you cannot create with the knowledge that you get in the college, you cannot create all these innovations that United States has always been so famous for throughout previous decades in life. Like I gave an example that they took tables of chemical elements of Mendeleev, and their main element used to be ether, and this was the whole point, and they took it out without asking the author. This Mendeleev, he was a Russian scientist, and he created that tables of chemical elements with that ether, and ether was foundation of everything else. How things happen in life, this like energy source, this something that is pre-hydrogen, and this is just what they call oxygen, or this wave and all of this electromagnetism is just properties of ether. The same way this theory of relativity with Einstein, so the chemistry is hijacked, physics is hijacked, of course medicine is hijacked. So not only you have to have your medical care totally free, you have to also instill proper medicine, because right now people are not heard. They don't want any vaccines and nobody hears them. People don't want any bioweapon labs. There is no need for bioweapon labs. You should think about your own country. You should think about your own if you have nuclear weapons, the other countries would not need to invade you if you have nuclear weapons to defend yourselves. So how are you going to manage all these military bases within your own country, outside, when you have so much in the outside world? I think that all these taxes should be spent on educating and caring medically for American people, so that they would have zero stress, zero worries to be homeless if they get sick, or if they lose their job, or if they I cannot imagine that people do not understand that this whole fentanyl problem, and in general drug problem, is due to the youth not seeing any perspectives. They want to escape the reality of working 10 hours a day at this very tiring job with no inspiration, no chance to invent anything of your own, no chance to bring any salvation to this world, any good to society. And this happens because all these inbred creatures from outside, I believe from the UK, control this European aristocracy, control United States, including who goes to college and who doesn't, all mostly very rich people, or those who comply. Like, for example, it's very hard to make certain, for example, brown people to comply with their, especially when they are street smart, when they have these communication skills, where they know about life through observing, through talking to each other, not like we in the white race normally do, like from TV. We, especially, for example, Asians, they respect authorities, they respect their teachers, while brown people, they call African Americans, they usually question authority, their own parents, they question everything. So when they are even smart, they go, for example, to math college. Okay, they go to math college and they study all this advanced math, and they are told that this formula works this way, and then the teacher asks them, do you have question? And they say, no, we don't understand. So I want
them to really feel me, you may not understand something, not because you're stupid and the Asian person next to you who just learned it by heart without applying any critical thinking or logic, because they obey authority. Maybe you cannot understand something because you have intuition, and your intuition screams at you it doesn't make sense. Like most of these in this advanced math, advanced physics, advanced whatever, it doesn't make sense because it's fake, it's false, it's perjury, it's this falsification, lack of observance of real physical objective reality based science. So anyways, what I wanted to point out is that these things that usurped the power in the US, they think that they want their inbred kids, because their inbred kids are fucking dumb. They think that if everybody would be able to get college education, if it was free for everybody, or at least for talented students, they wouldn't be able to compete with others. That's why they make this college education so expensive. And this includes the talented white people. And that's why there is so much despair, because it's hard to comprehend for a young mind who is still in their teens that the game is rigged, that people get somewhere because of their acquaintances or relatives or anything like that, and that a lot of science, including medicine, is fake. So, and that you as a person should be aware of scams, and you are always need to be alarmed that you will be used as a sucker to some kind of a scam, even if you are helpless, weak, poor, orphan, sick with cancer, whatever. They still will be evil entities trying to scam you. And also, I've been reflecting on all of this, and I took random pictures of my walk at 9 p.m. today, and Moscow is quite eclectic in a way that there are many mixed races here, and what I wanted to say that I don't see any LGBTQ people in Moscow. I don't see any gay, lesbian people. Like, I walk and it's 9 million people city, and there are none. And there are people, I sometimes see people from Africa who are brown skin, and they are extremely sophisticated in the way that they are dressed. For example, you see this lady, she has this velvet dress on, she had these fancy glasses on. She's like really, really cool. If they just wear jeans, they look superb. I cannot describe it to you. Like what I see American look, young American man with this like white thick cotton shirts, oversized, on these oversized blue jeans, when their buttocks are seen sometimes. This is just disgusting because they don't have any idea how far advanced African men and African women are because of their difficult conditions have become. So they know several foreign languages. They are extremely sophisticated in their garments. They have this self-respect aura about them. And on top of this, they have these, ample figures, which they have, like, they are not fat, but they have the curves, and they have certain features which make them stand out. And Moscow is like a place where it's very hard to compete looks wise, but still they are able to stand out somehow. And when I look at people in Moscow, I just see that they are normal people with families. Even the youth are not all this LGBTQ stuff. So I don't understand how people just accept this, that this is going on, how they don't dig to the source of this problem. And the source of this problem is that these people were meant to be dead, but for some reason they did not develop cancer or another horrible disease. They became gay instead, from the poison that is fed to them from many sources. And I have been wondering about all this, what they show here on TV about America, how this gender non-conformant personality became responsible for nuclear waste in the United States, and how it became kleptomaniac and it got busted somewhere in the airport trying to steal somebody's luggage. So I was wondering that they placed this unstable person at this position because there must be no nuclear waste in the United States, because all this quote-unquote nuclear stuff is spent on poisoning American people. And I just wanted to say that these devils, they put my video down in which I was exposing this relation between animal life poisons and nuclear radioactive stuff, such as mercury and its properties and where it really comes from, and the bats and all of that, how these things are related. So the core problem here is that they duped various, let's say, leaders of the countries or parliaments of the countries, the decision-making institutions in each country. They duped them into signing all these non-proliferation agreements, where they claim, and this under the guise of not spreading nuclear weapons, they try to hide the real origin of it. The real agenda behind this was that they try to hide how they poison people, how they try to reduce the population. That's what they are trying to hide. And this is just the cover to make various countries to sign in to making all this information secret about where all this nuclear stuff really comes from. So this is just one of the tricks that these poisoners do, and that's why things became so bad, so bad. Like, you know, there is this fly that puts larvas inside a frog, and frog becomes infected with these larvas, the eggs of this fly. I forgot what it's called. So the larva they dig deep inside this frog, and when they become dolls, like they eat this frog alive. And at the last stage, these larvas completely to the full eat the dead body of this frog, including the skin and the connective tissue. And when you look at that and what this whole stuff looks like, you know, it looks like this. So the eggs, they usually place these flies place usually the eggs around head of a frog. So when the larva comes out of the eggs, they would have enough food for themselves, the nutrition. So you see what it looks like on the frog, all this, the toad. And it looks exactly like what they call tumors. See? So whatever cancer it is, whatever spreads outside the body, you must understand that this can only happen with what they call stem cells. And the stem cells are very young organism cells. Like, I don't believe that there are cells per se. I believe that there are these reproductive hormone, what we call hormone system, and blood and lymph, what it calls lymphs. So very young person's blood cells and very young person's what they have in their, so the blood is originally, at least what people believe, what medics believe, it's formed in the spinal cord. So the creation of blood happens in the spinal cord, in your lower spine, and then it goes and it spreads. So young people, they have these properties of their blood to them, that they can divide and split, and they can proliferate. This is called proliferation. That means it can multiply, it can grow very swiftly. So these are the cells which are also in the sperm, in the egg, in the period blood, because period blood is just that what didn't become this fetus. So these type of things which happen due to the use and due to the sexual function organs, which are meant to proliferate or spread or grow very fast. This is what has to do with sexual endocrine system, multiplication system, with hormones, what people do when they reproduce. The same with animals, the same with insects. So all these, what you need to understand, all this has to do with their insects, the animals, rare animals, animals with unusual properties like echolocation, and the same with unusual insects and other stuff. And when you understand this idea that another species reproductive stem cells, these proliferation cells, another species hormones, eggs, semen, period, whatever is inside of you, then you will be fully grab the concept of the nature of your diseases, the nature of cancer, the nature of tumors, the nature of becoming fat, becoming infertile, the nature of thinking getting impaired, the nature of muscle pain, the nature of chronic pain, the nature of even at times emotional instability. Because you have to take into account that these very rare, very special species of animals which are magical, which I believe are not of this world, like mercury, like bats, for example, like snakes, like octopuses, certain octopuses. They're not of this world. Some animals are not of this world. And some animals are crossed between species that are not meant to cross. And some get complicated symbiosis in them. So there is a parasite on top of another parasite. So there is this one poison in combination with a different poison to make that poison very potent. So you need to understand what is being done to you. There are these very rare animals, insect species with very, very, very potent endocrine things that infestate you, that human organism just naturally cannot really get inside them that easily. Like human organism is meant to heal themselves, even if they get poisoned, even if they hurt themselves, they bleed. These are very special things that they do, a very rare type of things and very potent. And that's why especially when you don't expect this, you don't see that coming, it's very hard to just even be in this reality when you have to wake up every day and realize that you have to survive, really. because of this stuff they want to reduce the population, and you are that population. So of course every day is a struggle. So I was when they did all that to me, when they put my video down, at the same time I saw on some Russian so-called alternative YouTube channel getting the video out, saying that infections is really radiation. So their video was not put down at all, even with a headline like this. I had no catchy headlines, anything like that. The thing is, they know that this information is out in the ethers. They know that somebody has figured it out, somebody heard it, it cannot be stopped. So they say that if we cannot control the opposition, we will try to lead them. So they will delete everybody who comes up with the stuff and who exposes their lies. And then they would have these people who kind of tell the same, but they will pervert it and they will mislead people in a way that they would be, the original thought would be perverted, fractured, and discredited. So this is how I see it's happening. Like, they watch me on purpose, and then they get this alternative, some kind of opinion leader with 10,000 views per video, saying the same thing, but perverting everything to discredit this idea. Anyways, when I was not making videos, I had some time I was reviewing, watching again this movie called Blade Runner 2049, and there was this so-called messiah among robots or artificial people, and there was this Lucifer character which was actually given as a name. I think it was given name Wallace or Welles, which is actually this Slavic god of forest and shepherds and animal kingdom. So anyways, what he wanted was that he called these artificial people angels. So the first one race that they made, the different person made, they started to rebel, and they made this artificial race which was living much shorter life. They made this race especially for traveling into space to another planet, so they would mine precious something from there. And then this artificial race rebelled, and then another one, which is this Lucifer or Wallace or Welles, which is current Minister of Defense surname of the UK, Wallace. So he decided to make another race of these, what he called angels, and he wanted them to fly. So this, I also think, is a factor. I think that these who rule the world, they just don't know to the full what the agenda is behind this. They believe that they need to reduce the population, while this entity, this Lucifer-like thing, he wants to fly. He wants to restore the ability of the fallen ones to fly. So to maybe to have them teleport between different dimensions, do stuff like that. So I think that they can also poison people to see who survives all this radioactive shit, because it doesn't only take a certain vehicle. Like, it's not enough to build a spaceship or a flying saucer, to recreate a flying saucer. It also needs an operator to fly it. For example, when these Nazi soldiers, this Anna stuff, when they went to search for these secrets in Tibet of these alien spaceships, wherever else, so they were able to reconstruct this flying saucer, this craft, but this craft was only able to fly, from what I heard, when shamans, tribes of shamans, near a certain mountain, which was probably charged from this, so they get charged either from volcanoes or from bottom of the ocean, from all this lightning in the space. So not only this machine is important on which you will fly, but the operator of the machine should have certain qualities to them which are not available either to this reptile race or this us humans. So they want to change the human in order to be able to fly these ships, or in order to teleport or do stuff like that. So for example, when these MI6 characters make these movies called Octopus, when they brag openly that they do this zombie stuff in the movies, like they do this, they can turn people into zombie, and there is this stuff, there is this kind of recipe for a poison that contains many poisons, including from pufferfish or from octopus. When we look at the octopus, some people who were abducted, they saw that these octopuses, there is like this race of octopuses, or there is a race of cat people, or there is a race of dog people. And like, for example, Sirius constellation is the dog constellation, and there is Lemurians who are cat people. So when you look at the octopus, the way it propels itself at the depths, this is the same way that the craft which is above certain heights, which is higher than airplanes can go, this is the same stuff, because at the certain layers of the sky, I believe this is like being in water. So when you talk about creating something that moves like this, you have to take a lot of whatever secretions of this endocrine system, the skin, the bones, or whatever the blood of this octopus has, so it's able to move under this water. Because the spaceships would have to do the same. So they have to steal this technology from these species. At the same time, like for example, the inventor of helicopter looked at the dragonfly, and that's how he invented helicopter. So the same they do with all that stuff, with this cicadas shit and all of that. That's why they basically poison people. Not only because they want us all dead and reduce population, but because they see who will survive this mutation, and then so that they would be able to fly into space.